fishing's all about bait fish. Zoom Winged Fluke. In the fall, it gets kind of tough. The reason it's tough is because I would say 80 to 90% of the fish in any lake go out just following bait around. Well, we're always, never able to catch those, and live scope obviously makes it a lot easier, and the fish will school a lot. You catch them, well, they're kind of always schooling. You just always can't always see them. So one of the most productive ways in the fall, love it, hate it, whatever, is live scoping bait or following bait around offshore. And that's what I'm doing now, is catching a bunch of spots and some big largemouth. Everything gets out here. But I always start with a 4-inch, because the smaller bait, if they are biting the smaller bait, they just eat the whole thing. They're easier to hook on it. But 4-inch or 5-inch winged fluke I'm throwing a 3/16 ounce head right now. But a lot of times you gotta go a lot lighter. These fish out here on this lake right now, they're moving around really, really fast. They're running through that bait. They're basically schooling, you just can't see them. They bite easy though, if you can hit them. So a heavier head makes it a lot easier to get them to bite. I could probably even go heavier, but basically just chasing around bait. A lot of the fish, it might be 15, 20 foot deep, but I'm not worried about it. They're 2, 3, 4 foot down. Those are the easiest ones to catch, the ones that are roaming up high, because that's looking for something to eat. So the key to find areas to do this, to look for fish on bait, I mean, it could be anywhere, right? Right now, we're just kind of on a random main lake spot. But usually I always start my search in the fall in creek arms. Long, narrow creek arms, where a lot of bait goes. There's always bait in there, but you can find on the main lake too. This lake's a little different. It's just got a lot of bait in it. So, a lot of the bait will stay on the main lake, even, fall, winter, spring. It's just always on the main lake because it lays out a little differently than some. But creek arms are always a good start. But like this spot, I'm catching some fish now. I was literally running to pick up somebody a minute ago. Running down the lake, I had my 2D on. I always have my 2D when I'm running. And I was watching the graph as I was running and ran over a bunch of bait. So I was like, oh, there's an area there with a bunch of bait. I'm gonna go back and look at it. Put the trolling motor down, immediately caught a pretty big spot. And that's kind of the way it is. And they might not be here in an hour. They might not be here in 15 minutes. But once you find an area with bait, it's very, very likely there's some fish around, stripers, bass, something. I believe that's not a bass. Cortland braid sounds good in the gods of a rod. I'd say it's not a bass. I mean, it's a species of bass. I wonder if I can bow flip it. Ugh. Another striper. Oh, he came off. That was a little guy, but that's so when you're doing this minnow thing, you see all kinds of stuff about it now, but I have it happen. Everybody has it happen. You'll go do this a little bit, and you'll have 20 fish follow it, not eat it. Follow it all the way to the boat, they won't eat it. So I think a lot of what it is, though, some of them just won't eat it unless it's presented right. Like, that one I just lost right there. I literally landed, and the bait almost hit the fish, and they didn't ever really get a good look at it. That's one of the main things. If you work it to them, a lot of times they see it coming, and then they'll watch it go. But if it just kind of surprises them, they're a lot more likely to eat it than if you kind of slow fish it up to them. But a lot of times, I don't think it really matters, the minnow, there's all this stuff about, oh, this minnow's better than this minnow. Like some get real hot, others don't sell, and then you can't get the one you want. But I love these winged flukes, and pretty much if it lands on them right, I think it's more important than what bait it is. Fish was hiding in the bait. Couldn't even see him. A lot of them, like this one right here, I actually didn't even see this fish. He was down in the bait, and I kind of reeled through it, made him appear. I like to look for what I call like dented bait. And you get a ball of bait's round. And if there's ever a dent in it, that means there's something making it have a dent. So if you get like a kind of oval shaped bait or like two split, something like that. It's all pretty much always there is a bass, striper, perch, something splitting the bait up. That's a big one, I think. He's not that big. He's not that little either. He's kind of big. He's actually big. Spot. I don't know if I can lift him. Oh, ugh. Look at that. He spit out a bunch of bait. Nice 2 3/4 spot probably. Send him back to eat some more. The lake's starting to turn over. You can see the water looks a little funny and green. This lake's usually relatively clear. So your muddy are really clear and kind of green looking right now. That's when this bait and the fish get out on the bait goods right around the fall turnover. And that's what's going on now. That's why there's a lot out here, and that's why the bank's kind of tough. The fall up shallow on the bank is pretty good, like in, I guess you'd say, the late summer, and then it's pretty good after the turnover. But during the turnover, it just gets kind of weird up there sometimes. It gets hard to catch them. You can get back in creeks and rivers sometime to get away from it. But that's when this kind of bait-oriented fishing really works good. When it comes to colors on these little winged flukes, I don't get too picky. Just in what we've been filming here today, I've switched colors like 4 times. And basically what I do like though, don't know if it makes a difference, but I do like a different color belly than back. Like this is like a 2-tone color. I think this one's called gizzard shad or something like that, or smoked pepper pearl, about the same. But they, I do like a different tone back than belly, which looks a lot like a shad. And then also when the bait kind of falls or moves, it offers 2 different type of flashes. But don't think bait color makes a huge difference, just something that looks like a shad. I'm in 21 foot of water now, but you can tell these fish, I mean, they're 4 or 5 foot deep, really shallow. That's where all the majority of population in this lake and most lakes in the fall is. A bunch of them showed up when I hooked that one. Not a big one, but a thick one. Love it or hate it, you better get better at minnow fishing. That's what I've spent a lot of time doing, trying to get better at, I mean, not just live scoping, but fishing a minnow. I feel like I'm pretty good at live scope, but it's a kind of tricky chasing those fish around in open water, figuring out what's bass, what's not, things like that. So my minnow fishing setup, I keep it pretty simple. I think a lot of times, I know sometimes there might be little niches that get fish bite that you can't, but a lot of times it's throwing a lot of different fish and being efficient and landing on them. My setup when I'm doing it, I'm gonna pretty much always start with a 3/16 ounce head. And with that being said, sometimes it needs to be lighter. If the fish are following it and not eating it, you need it lighter. Sometimes I like it heavier. If they're like catching it or it's more of a reaction, sometimes you want to land on them and that'll actually make them eat it. So when it comes to minnow fishing, I'm going to use the Zoom Winged Fluke most of the time. This is a good bait. We've got all the sizes now, and 4-inch all the way to 7.5. And the 4 is probably, I like it the best if they'll eat it because they don't nip it. You got good hook to bait ratio. So usually when they eat it, they get it. So this is probably my start. And then if I'm not getting them bite, if I'm getting a bunch followed, I might go down to an 1/8, or I might try, you know, a 1/4, or I might go to the 5-inch, try something like that. It's kind of one of those things you have to play with it and kind of see what the fish want that specific time. There's not one tried and true method to getting them to bite and what's the best. But I do, generally, I always like the 2-tone colors. This is one of my favorites. This is gizzard shad. Got a pearl belly, gray back. I really like it because if you get that rocking action with the minnow,
it kind of changes tones as it rocks. So if you had a just straight white or straight shad color or something like that, it wouldn't have that two-tone kind of rocking motion. But 3/16 ounce head is always going to be my start, and then I kind of vary it from there. I use a 12-pound leader most of the time. I haven't really seen a situation where the light line makes a huge difference, so I'm going to use like 12-pound leader, and I use Cortland 8-pound braid. Pretty much always doing this. I'm going to go with 8, and it definitely seems to make a difference. I used to always use my 7.3 fairy wand rod, but in recent years, when I feel like I've got a little bit better at it, I've changed and started using my Hartwell Magic. It's a little bit stiffer, but I feel like I can work the bait a lot better with that shorter rod and a little less of a soft tip. That fairy wand has a really soft tip. So generally in the South, when I'm doing the minnow fishing on bait like we were today, I'm going to throw it on Hartwell Magic with a gravity. This is a GS7, GS5 or GS7 spinning reel. And it's pretty simple. I mean, you've heard of it. You heard about minnow fishing more than you want to, I'm sure. I have heard more than I want about it, but it's something I've been trying to get better at, and this is kind of my setup. You saw it work today, and it's definitely something you better become proficient at in the fall, especially. In the fall, majority of the fish in the lake, not all of them, a big percentage are going to be on bait. Now, some of that bait might be in the back of the creek where you can do other things, but any lake that the bait stays out this year, this fall specifically, the lake I'm fishing today, we've had no rain. So the water's really clear. There's very few fish up shallow, and the ones up shallow are super hard to catch because it's too clear. And the ones out on bait you can catch, and that's where the majority of the fish are. So I hope these minnow tips, tricks help you, whether you like to do it or not. It's definitely a effective technique. You've seen it work. You saw it work today in this video. So go try it out. Play with a bunch of different combos and setups on your weight and bait ratio, but the Zoom Winged Fluke's a good one to start with.